I think what the most important thing I want Missourians to know is that strength is someone who's willing to ask the tough questions. And when things are going badly, we have to be willing to stand up to the President and to our party and ask those tough questions. And Senator Talent has failed to ask questions. I was not exaggerating when I went through those hearings where Secretary Rumsfeld was in front of his committee, and literally Senator Talent did not say a word. Not even a hello, how are you? I support you. And so I think it's time that a senator, regardless of party, stand up and say, this war is going badly, we're not making progress, we have a civil war, and the policy in Iraq has stretched our military to the point that we have problems bubbling up all over the globe. The axis of evil clearly is more of a danger to America today than it was when President Bush gave the speech almost 5 years ago. Well, frankly, I only had 3 minutes. And I have reviewed many transcripts of many armed services hearings. And it's not that Senator Talent hasn't asked any questions, but many times he says, you know, I sure support what you're doing, Secretary Rumsfeld. You've had a plan, Secretary Rumsfeld. If you take the transcripts of the armed services hearings, the ones that Senator Talent attended, there is not any really tough questioning going on. And by the way, there are some Republicans that are asking tough questions. And so there are people that, regardless of party, are willing to stand up. If you look right now, look at Senator Warner, the leader of the Armed Services Committee, has come back and said we've got a 60 to 90-day timetable, and then we need to think about changing course and changing our policy. That's a timeline. I hear not a word from Senator Talent or the Republicans saying that this is an artificial timeline and this is cut and run and this is being cowardly. I would look forward to working with Senator Warner because I think he's demonstrated several times in the last few weeks that he has his country's best interest at heart and not his party's best interest at heart. Well, first of all, he's not even accurate about my position on those bills. I would have voted no on the energy bill, and I'm not ashamed to say, and I don't care who voted for it, we can't keep giving billions of dollars to big oil. They're making record profits. We're paying record high prices. What about this doesn't Washington get? And if you look at the meth bill, I never said I was opposed to the meth bill. I think it's great that it helps other states, but what it did, we'd already done in Missouri. It was already the law in Missouri. And what I pointed out when that bill was passed is that if you've been on the front lines fighting meth, as I have, you know that the essence of this struggle is interjurisdictional task forces. And those are funded by federal money. Senator Talent has voted repeatedly to cut the money to the burn grants that fund these task forces that fight meth. So the point I made when the bill passed is it is really, in some ways, an empty bill because the changes in prescription drugs as it relates to having to have them behind the counter, the precursors to meth, we'd already done in Missouri, and there was no funding in the bill to replace the money that Senator Talent had cut. So, you know, I have talked about things about the prescription drug bill. My mom and I went all over the state encouraging people to sign up. But it doesn't have to be so expensive. And what Missourians are figuring out is they put in that bill, believe it or not, in the United States of America, the drug companies were actually able to get in the bill a prohibition against negotiating for lower prices based on volume. That's really amazing if you think about it, very un-American, especially for people who claim they're all for open markets and competition and a free economy. So we need to fix that, and that's what I've said we need to do when I get to Washington, and I think we'll have the votes to do it. Well, I certainly, you know, as somebody who's spent a lot of my adult life prosecuting very violent criminals, I understand the role of interrogation. I also understand what it takes to make a good case. I also understand the inherent weaknesses in coerced and forced evidence. Frankly, what we need to be doing in Washington, and I'm not frankly, you know, I would have voted with Senator Talent. He voted against the torture bill that Vice President Cheney pushed. Senator Talent voted no on that. Senator Bond voted yes. I would have voted like Senator Talent on that. But I really think what we need to step back and look here is that they're using this security issue like a political football instead of passing the legal framework that is necessary to do this job right and to give the intelligence community the resources they need. Right now in this country, we do not have enough agents trained in proper languages to embed them in terms of human surveillance. That's the most effective evidence you can get, is human surveillance. We need to be focusing on that. We need to be focusing on getting a framework of law so we're not tied up in court as to whether or not what's being done is constitutional. But instead of passing a bill to fix the FISA law, to allow after-the-fact court approval, it's not going to slow down any terrorist investigation, they would rather not pass it so they'd have something to wave about and say, oh, someone doesn't care about fighting terrorism. If they were more interested in catching terrorists and less interested in winning elections, they would have already done what they needed to do to fix that legislation. Well, first of all, if we had a few more people out there that were willing to say no to the oil people, I think we could get it done. But, you know, if you look, Senator Talent is on the Energy Committee. He's received almost $300,000 in campaign contributions from big oil. That makes it tough to say no. And I think, frankly, we need some people that are willing to stand up to that kind of pressure and say no. I like to believe that, you know, how could it not be common sense that in August of '05, when we had record high prices and record high profits, that someone wouldn't go, hold on here. Why are we giving oil companies all this money right now? And I don't understand why that's not occurring. Maybe I'm being naive, but I think we just need a few more people up there that are strong enough to stand up to them.
How do you stand up to people who are powerful? How do you stand up to...
You say no. You don't vote with them.
Yeah, but he's the guy who controls the purse strings. How do you
I beg your pardon. No one who gives me a contribution is going to control me, ever, under any circumstances. Well, let me say this about the economic aspect. Missouri is very unique in the country. There is no other state that has the kind of research ongoing that's being funded totally with private money. There is no public money that's being used to fund stem cell research in Missouri. WashU is privately endowed, and the Stowers Institute in Kansas City has an incredible endowment from very generous people that want to see cures. So I think that I am reluctant because, frankly, the opponents have been spreading disinformation about this and say, oh, follow the money and people are going to get wealthy. No. This is about private donations, people who want to find cures. Will it be a boon to the economy in terms of enhancing the life science component of our state and the biotech component of our state's economy? Yes. But to me, that's way down the list from the excitement that we would have in Missouri over the potential of curing these diseases. I'll tell you, I'm so much more relaxed this time. And I'm listening harder. And I'm spending more time with, you know, the best term I can come up with is real people. People who are frustrated, who are being left behind. And I meant what I said. Every time the president says our economy is booming, it resonates on Wall Street, but it's not resonating on Main Street in Missouri. And people who say that are not listening, because if they were out listening, they'd know it. So I feel really good where we are right now. I think it's important that people get motivated to vote. I think that's a challenge. It always is in a non-presidential year. But I think I think we're talking about the right issues. I think we're showing the right kind of enthusiasm and commitment to those issues. And I feel very relaxed and comfortable with where we are right now. I think it's a really sad moment. Senator Talent has sent men and women to die for us over there, and they've been injured. And they don't mind going to fight for us, but I don't think they expect to be attacked when they get home. And what the Talent campaign did yesterday was they basically told a veteran, we don't believe you. We don't believe that you've had difficulty getting health care. I feel badly that we have put Josh in this position. He has been hounded. He has been harassed. And he is beyond stressed about it. And it's unfortunate that a veteran would step forward and just say, I've had difficulty getting health care, and he would be attacked by the Talent campaign. I know his fellow veterans are very upset, and I hope that the Talent campaign will cease and desist immediately attacking a veteran who just wants his health care funded.